How's it going, guys? I'm Joe, and we are here at the LG booth. We've got a lot of really cool stuff to take a look at. We're going to go over not everything, just the coolest stuff, in my opinion. So we've got things like computer monitors, some of the new TVs, such as the Rollup TV from LG, some 8K TVs, all sorts of crazy stuff, a neat projector. Let's stop talking about it and let's see it.
Definitely one of the coolest things you see when you first even walk up to the booth is this giant display that kind of curves in front of you and goes overhead, and it has these amazing graphics on there, anything from like a rainforest to like a supernova in space and all sorts of cool stuff. So LG usually does something like this to kind of wow you before you even get into the booth, and that's what it was this year. Cool to just talk about. But definitely the most impressive product we can start off with is the Rollup TV from LG that they're calling the Signature TV R. And of course, you can see that there's this square rectangular base, and the TV literally just rolls down into it. And you can have basically any aspect ratio you want because it can roll up maybe to only show maybe some basic controls when the TV's not really active, or if you want to watch a movie that's widescreen, it can kind of roll down so you don't have the letterbox above and below the movie, stuff like that. They had a really cool demo showing this. I'm sure it's going to be insanely expensive, but it's still pretty cool that they made it in the first place. Then they had some of their other more traditional TVs. There's the OLED 8K. Yes, they're making 8K TVs now. And this, of course, is not anything particularly new in terms of the technology. OLED is OLED, and LG does it really well. They also have a nanocell 8K. So nanocell is kind of like their LCD, but it's got some nanocell technology that I'm not really going to get into. It's just a big fancy version of LCD and LED backlit that does have a better picture than, you know, the traditional LCD screens that you might have seen coming out several years ago. So 8K in both the OLED and nanocell, really cool. I don't think many people are going to ever need an 8K anytime soon. Definitely not in the next few years because there's no content for it, but it's still cool that they're making it. They have to start somewhere. As you know, LG makes their Gram laptops, which are always extremely light. They have two new models here. One is a 14-inch 2-in-1, so you can flip it around, make it into a tablet. It's touchscreen. And then they also have another one that is a new 17-inch screen, but it's in a 15-inch form factor, and they achieved that by thinning out the bezels and also making it a 16:10 aspect ratio instead of 16:9. So they recovered some of that screen size by making it slightly taller than necessarily longer, but it is a bigger screen and it is a smaller form factor, so that's really interesting if you want something that is both bigger and smaller at the same time. If that makes sense, this is something you check out. Continuing with some of the computer stuff, they have an insanely wide, ultra-wide monitor, and what's a little bit different from the previous year is that they have the little controller thing on the side instead of on the bottom, and this allows you to actually stack the ultra-wides if you want. So you can see they did that. For example, I don't know what situation you would really need this for. It's a bit ridiculous, but it's still cool nonetheless. And of course, they did have some specific gaming monitors on display, and they're using their Ultra Gear branding, which I haven't really been familiar with. I believe it's relatively new. And they had two different monitors. They had an ultra wide and a regular. Both of these are 144 hertz gaming. They have like this RGB lighting in the back called sphere lighting, and they even have some software going on that you can install that will change the background lighting based on what's on the screen. And what's interesting now is they actually use G-Sync. Last year, I think most of the monitors used FreeSync, which I'm not really a fan of because I don't use ATI cards, but they said that based on a lot of feedback, most people wanted G-Sync, so that's what they decided to add as a feature. And there's even a new projector. They have the Cine Beam projector, which is a short throw projector, and this is a different one from the kind of black box one you might have seen from previous years. And this one's cool because it actually can sit just 2 inches from the wall and still give you a 90-inch display, or you can move it back a few more inches and get up to a 120-inch display with this projector that sits so close, which is actually pretty incredible. No more will you have to kind of hang it up on the wall or the ceiling and have things blocked by the projector. And they were also able to make it so it works in a little bit better lighting. So they had it in a room that was not necessarily dark, not necessarily bright, but certainly brighter room than what they were demoing in previous years. So that's pretty awesome that it's able to actually show that, because I don't think most people have a home theater in their house. All right, we can move on to some audio products. The first of which they had is a sound bar. I think the official name is the Soundbar AI ThinQ. And like a lot of sound bars, this uses Dolby Atmos, and the idea is that it kind of creates the perception of a surround sound system by bouncing sound around the room without necessarily needing extra speakers in the back. And I'm a big fan of Dolby Atmos. It really does kind of work as described, and the soundbar here has several speakers around the whole thing. There's speakers on the top, speakers on the front and side, which is able to achieve this virtual surround sound, and it does work, so that's really awesome. But they did also show that if you want to, you can hook up rear speakers and kind of sync it up with the soundbar, so you could have true surround sound if you wanted. LG also had a bunch of audio devices under their XBoom line, and the most interesting ones in my opinion were the XBoom Go devices. So these are basically big giant Bluetooth speakers that you can bring anywhere. They have pretty good battery life. There's 3 sizes they had on display here: the PK7, the PK5, and the PK3. I like these, add like kind of like cool lighting effects. You don't need to use them. And also what's interesting is that it uses Bluetooth, but it has some kind of proprietary special connection, so it's not as compressed. They showed kind of like a little graphic where normally it uses like 16-bit, but if you use their connection, it is 24-bit, so I guess it's better quality than what you normally get with a Bluetooth speaker. So it's definitely a good option if you're looking for something like that. And finally, we can talk about a product that I actually mentioned a few years ago, I think, and that is the LG Styler. It's like this clothes cleaner that just uses steam. Apparently, they improved it, made it a little bit smaller, so I know some people might be interested in that. I may as well mention it. And I think with that, we've covered everything.
All right, so that was everything at the LG booth that I thought was really interesting, at least. If there's anything that you guys might have seen elsewhere, we can talk about that down in the comments. Hopefully it was really interesting. Be sure to subscribe and check out some of my other videos and coverage of CES, and definitely let me know if there's anything specific you want me to talk about. It'll be really fun to see it. So thanks again, guys, and see you next time.